What's going on, everyone? I'm Magically Average. That's Frankfurter. We are on BakaBites, and today we are talking about the upcoming increase in price for manga. If you haven't heard, Viz Media is increasing their prices for their manga after 15 years of keeping it at $7.99. We're going to see this increase come in January 1st of 2024, and we're going to talk about what this could mean for the manga market, what this could mean for the apps. If you're subscribed to the Viz Media app or Shonen Jump app, or God forbid the Kodansha app, ugh.
Oh, there's no subscription there.
No, no, that's why I went ugh.
Yeah.
And just kind of talking about what this could possibly mean domestically for manga readers and what the future of the manga market is going to look like. But first off, Frankfurter, how are you doing today?
I'm a big ball of stress, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Mr. Man's doing adult stuff.
Yeah, I'm moving. We're buying a house. It's happening. That's why it sounds like an echo chamber in here for the past few weeks.
I like it.
So, yeah, so no, I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm going to QuakeCon this week from Thursday to Sunday, so
Woo.
very much so looking forward to just taking 3 to 4 days to just play games and chill out and just relax for a bit with some friends. So,
Nice.
doing well in that regard.
That'll be good. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Well,
And how are you, sir?
good. Yeah, adult stuff. I'm like, I know we talked about this before on another podcast episode, but I'm like so ready for fall. I'm like fucking sick and tired of summer. Like we
I am
talked we
too.
talked about how like when you become an adult, summer's just not as enjoyable as when you were a kid because summer meant no school, no homework, hang out with your friends all the time, go to the beach, go to the amusement parks and whatever. But as an adult, it's like I still go to work every day. I still have to drive in
Mhm.
traffic. I still have to do
Mhm.
all my adult shit. Like and then when I go places to enjoy myself, there's fucking kids everywhere. So, yeah, I'm ready
Fucking
for
kids.
fall. I'm ready for fall. I'm also ready for cooler weather.
You're telling me it's hot as hell up here, but
Yeah.
anywho,
Anywho.
I think that this is kind of just like it's about time. It's been 15 years since they've raised their prices or changed their prices in any sort of degree. So, with
Yeah.
everything happening within the world of inflation, which oh boy, it's happened and it's happening. This is kind of a no-brainer. This is actually we're getting it a lot later than we should have probably.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unfortunate, but it's not like the end of the world. It was going to happen at some point. It just got
Yeah.
delayed.
Yeah. And to go deeper into it too, reading off the article from Anime News Network, the price change will apply to new volumes of ongoing series as well as the new series the company will launch, which are currently priced at $9.99 per volume. Some, such as Gold Kamui, will be priced at $12.99 per volume. Or Kamui, I can never remember how to pronounce that.
I think. Oh yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. Um, so in addition to, there's going to be standard single volumes of manga from Kodansha US Publishing costing $12.99, from Yen Press costing $13, and from Seven Seas costing $12.99. That will go up to $14.99. You also have prices raised for Shonen Jump and Shoujo Beat manga volumes from $7.99 to $8.99, and then $9.99 back in 2009. So there's been a steady increase in prices over the years. We just had this long lull of no price increase, which, to your point, like, it was bound to happen. And
Yeah.
my only concern, my biggest concern of it is when I see a price increase, I want to have a reassurance that the quality is going to remain the same and there's not going to be like delays or potential like what we saw during peak COVID, like shortages, right?
Mm.
So because if I'm paying more for manga, again, inflation, there's a lot of economic pieces that go into the decision as to why they're increasing prices for their manga. But at the same time, I'm also a greedy customer, and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm paying more, I want you to have the same, if not better quality, and I don't want there to be a shortage. Like looking at you, summertime rendering, with your stupid bullshit of like, we printed
Well,
it on the
that
wrong
was
paper, and then the bindings were wrong, and then we printed it upside down, which
so
legit happened. So
I wanna bring that kind of into accord of like that's a like it's a actually not a prime example in this whole thing because that was a quality assurance thing of the hardcover books being postponed because hey, we printed it on the wrong paper, we printed it backwards, and then when they got it back and they're like, cool, this is great. Then when they put all six next to each other, the first three were shorter than this third or second three. So it was just like, well, shit, now we have to reprint it again. Like that is one thing. And that's kind of a bad example. But the one thing that you were saying is like, hey, quality. I think quality will probably stay the same if, if it dips down worse you're going to hear a large majority of the people who are buying these because people who are buying these like have money and they are the people who voice their opinions more than the younger crowd who don't buy them.
Yeah.
They can obviously hop on the bandwagon of just like what the fuck and make it a little bit louder, but generally the people who are buying it are the ones that point out the issues and make it, loud to begin with.
Right.
But as for the delays, I don't think the delays are going to happen for the fact of a outside of shortages, I don't think delays are going to happen because they have to like book a printer for specific things like 3 to 6 months. I think it's 6 months in advance. So
Mhm.
when they want to print a volume, they have to book a printer somewhere, whether it be Canada, United States for our printing, or Mexico, like 6 months at most in advance. So that way it's like, okay, cool. We know that these are gonna hit the printer 6 months from now. It'll take a month to get to our warehouses to distribute to the different vendors or to the different shops. So it's one of those things that those are already kind of accounted for. And if we're going by the 6 month standard of, how far they plan out, everything until like February to March of next year has already been planned.
Yeah.
So like we already know what we're gonna get. It's just a matter of if there is a shortage, which I think a lot of raw materials have gotten a lot better about getting everything out, whether it be for manga, whether and especially like housing. Like I know there was a shit ton of different
There's a
housing
big lumber shortage.
materials. Yeah, there was lumber and then it was concrete. It was just in Windows too, surprisingly. Like there was a huge shortage during the pandemic. So I think that things have stabilized to a degree. It's just a matter of if there's like an unforeseen shortage for whatever reason, then that becomes a different story. But I think that there won't be any delays unless there's a natural act of like nature,
Yeah.
natural act of nature. Duh, Frank. It's gonna be anyways.
Force majeure is what we say in legalese. But
There you
yeah,
go.
no, the only reason I bring that up too is because I feel like with the larger anime and manga population now in the US after people either rediscovered or for the first time discovered the medium during COVID, that there are more voices to be heard, and the ones who were loud are getting louder, and the ones who are developing a voice are starting to actually share their opinions, which is good. It's good for the industry, especially domestically. But the reason why I brought up quality and shortages is because I feel like if there's a dip, if there's any sense of a downswing after this price increase, people are going to shift to just reading it on their phones and on their tablets. The fact
Yeah.
that we have access now to the Shonen Jump app, the Shonen Jump Plus app,
Jonan
Viz
jump.
Shonen Jump.
Sorry, I'm giving you shit. Continue.
I'm stuffed up. I don't know why. Allergies. Viz, Kodansha, like the fact that all the large manga publishers now have their own apps where you can, for most of them, subscribe and get access to what is it, 100 chapters a day, I think.
Yep, 100 chapters a day for $4 on Shonen Jump, and I think it's $3 for Viz Media.
I think so too. Yeah.
And
So
then Manga Plus is free, which you can read Shonen Jump and Manga Plus, or in Shonen Jump Plus, but like one time only.
right. Yeah. And then you have the Kodansha one, K manga, which has a very strange
What a
system.
what a
Um,
horrible system it was.
Hopefully it gets a rework. But again, this is all to say that I feel like there's less room for error now, given the larger population of anime and manga fans now here in the US at least, where there will be more of an incentive if quality were to go down or it's harder to find the manga again to just move to reading it on the app. Because like for myself, I'll read it on the app most of the time. Like for Shonen Jump, I'm reading Spy Family, Kaiju number 8, a couple of new series that I can't remember the names of, Akane Banashi, some of which have manga volumes coming out pretty frequently, some of which don't have any volumes out domestically yet. Some are just starting, like Akane Banashi. So
God, it's so good.
it's fantastic.
Volume 1 should be out now. If it's not, it'll come out next week, like
Yay.
Tuesday. But it's out on Right Stuff.
Yeah. I'm I'm one of the weird ones, and I think you're in the same boat as me too, where like we'll read it on the app, but then buy the volume too, because it's nice to have a physical version. Like I am old school in that regard, where I would actually personally prefer reading the physical copy versus on my phone. The phone is there for convenience and to be able to read the chapter right when it comes out, knowing
Yep.
that that chapter is not going to be published in a manga and then sent, here in the US available to me for like
A
6
year and a
months.
half, if not
6
more.
months at best. Yeah, right. Like it's going to be forever.
Yeah.
So that's
Like
the reason I
we're well into like the 90s, if not the hundreds of chapters for Akane Banashi, I think, right now.
I think we're
And
closing in on 80 actually.
oh,
Yeah.
really? I thought we were in the 90s
I
at
think
this
we just
point.
read 78 is the newest
Hmm.
chapter that came out.
I'm
But yeah,
confirming.
but
Oh
like but
God, you're right. We were on
yeah.
73.
Oh,
I
73.
thought
I
we were
was
in the
even off.
90s. I don't know. Oh no, it was a different series that just hit 100. But
Kaiju, I think.
regardless, it's like you got to think it's been a year and a half almost since that series started,
Yeah.
and we're only getting volume 1 now. So it's one of those things of like, yeah, like you can read this brand new series on Shonen Jump and then have to wait a year and a half in order to get it physically. So the people who
Right.
are just reading it physically, it's like, oh, look at this new series. It's like, no, it's been around. You can read it. It's cheap to read it, but like you won't read it physically. And yeah, I'm with you where I read it on my phone for that sake of just like, okay, I'm catching up every week because I don't want to get it spoiled and I'm really enjoying the series or whatnot, and then I'll buy it physically. But it does take a really special series for me to actually read it physically.
Mhm.
Shoha Shoten is one of those series that I bought in the first two. The third one's coming out this week or next week. I bought in the first two volumes physically, and I've read them again because that show or that series was so good. Akane Banashi will be another one that I read physically when it comes out physically
Yeah.
because it is so good. Um, and then I'm also kind of a stickler. Like I have all the volumes of My Hero and Jujutsu Kaisen that are out right now, and I refuse to read them digitally because it's like I already have these books. I haven't like caught up. I'm just going to read them physically whenever I have the chance, which leads to the downside of like I'm never going to be caught up until they're done, more
Yeah.
than likely. But it's just one of those things. Like yeah, it really depends on the series if I'm going to read it physically or buy it physically and just have it be on the shelf.
Yeah. And I mean, we're in a different category too because we're pretty pretty well into the new series coming out both for manga and anime. Like we're pretty up to date on what's being released domestically and kind of the right there to read it when it drops on the Shonen Jump app, or we know what's releasing each season. Obviously, if you listen to the podcast too, we preview the seasons and then review the previous seasons. So I mean, I feel like for casual people, the apps are just really convenient because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, cool, this looks interesting, I'll pick it up. Whereas like we kind of know like, oh, there's a new series from this author coming, this mangaka coming out, or like, oh, there's a collab between these two that are going to be releasing at some point here. So,
Which, by the way,
funny enough, I just got a Kodansha manga notification on my phone.
fuck,
It's listening
dude,
to
I
me.
get 1 to 2 every week, and I need
It
to
just
just uninstall the
it
app.
just
It's
makes me
such a
mad.
bad app.
Yeah, but
But
to go quickly
oh,
into stats before you hop over to just to give like a little background and
yeah,
some of the users too. So the Shonen Jump Plus app accumulated over 12 billion yen in sales revenue in 2019. And then as of February of 2022, the app had been downloaded 19 million times, when the app and website having approximately 4.6 million weekly active users. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. Also, I just remembered and realized, even if you don't pay for Shonen Jump, like, because the Shonen Jump app does have like a $4 monthly subscription, you get 100 chapters every day. Even if you don't pay for it, you can read like the first like 5 chapters for free and like the last 5 chapters that have just been released for free. So
Yeah.
it's not like they're totally useless if you don't pay. If you've been caught up on like a manga dex or physically or something like that, you can still read the newest chapters for free because they offer them for free.
Yep.
So it's not a terrible deal. And that kind of leads into our whole conversation of, you know, should you buy physically? Should you
Yeah.
continue to buy physically? And I'm to me, I am still on the physical train, whether it be for music, which is rare for me because music I'll buy records and
Yeah.
that's $30 a record. So it's really got
Yep.
to be something special. But like I'll buy music, I have a ton of records. I buy video games still all, physically mostly. And then I buy my manga physically as well because it's either I really like the series or it's like I want something new to read. I don't have access to read this online legally, so I'm just going to read this, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think the best point to all this is actually buying anime physically because there are older series that are out there that are sort of now getting a little bit of a resurrection with Discotech kind of picking up older series and making them available physically, which is great. But there's really no way of watching some of these older shows for legally. Like you can't watch Planets right now unless you have a DVD set. You can't watch Baka&Co unless you have a DVD set. You can't watch Darker Than Black. Like there are a bunch of series out there that you can't watch
Mm.
because there's either nobody has the rights, like it just nobody knows who the rights to the show or series belong to, or they know who it belongs to and they're not selling
Yeah.
to like these streaming companies. So it's one of those things that you never really know unless it is, published by a huge corporation that you're like, okay, cool, they're gonna sell this, and this is a proprietary High Dive or Crunchyroll show that it's gonna be on here for good. It's one of those things that is it worth buying some of the bigger series? Maybe not, but is it worth buying some of the niche series that you're like, this could go away forever if it's, if the user or the owner of the rights just pull it from a streaming site. So it's just one of those things like I still like video games right now is probably the best argument of buying physically, and I know I've been talking a lot, but like anime and video games right now are the biggest like proprietary of like you should buy physically because somebody did a statistic and I don't have it off the top of my head. I think it's 35% of the library for the 360 PS3 era. About 35% of it is wildly available to play.
Hmm.
That's it. Like there are just like sure, there's gonna be a shit ton of shovelware in there, but there's gonna be games in there that like are great. Metal Gear Solid 4 is one of those games. I think you can like stream it through PS Now, but like you can't like buy it physically, like digitally, physically, whatever, unless you go to a secondhand store. Like it is not wildly available to people. It's just one of those things that video games is finding out this problem, and that's why there's so many different organizations out there trying to catalog a library for when for emulators, because it's like, hey, if you're not going to put it out, we're going to put it out on the internet so you can emulate it and play it. But I don't know. I think in the grand scheme of like, should you buy physical? I'm still that old hat on that boat of yes, you should.
Yeah. Well, and then on the topic though of buying physical and the market for it too. I mean, everything you said about the limitation on availability with certain series or certain licenses or whatever is sort of a byproduct of the digital age that came in, when the new Xbox came out, the new PlayStation came out, and when the streaming services started dropping, and you know that's streaming services for both television series, movies, music, everything, right? You saw all these
Thanks,
markets.
Netflix.
You saw well, actually, Netflix originally started for
I know, those
renting
DVDs.
physical DVD. Yeah.
They are
Um,
just now discontinuing that,
yep.
which is
Yep.
hilarious. But anyways,
Well,
continue.
yeah, but and that speaks widely to the fact that like it's now transitioning the concept of owning, DVDs, CDs, old books, video games, all that stuff. It's weirdly enough, even though it hasn't been a long period, into the digital age, so to speak, in terms of just like the history of even the US being around, in that period of time, we've seen this shift where owning things physically is more of a collector's hobby than it is just as like a regular person wanting to own the medium, whatever it might be, right? Like
Yep.
it's become predominantly built around collectors, which is what I don't no, truthfully, I'm not even fearful of this. Like I feel like the manga and anime market is safer than those other markets because of the
Like
fact.
video games and music and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah, because of the fact that you have a larger breadth in terms of accessibility to it all. Now, granted, you do have the handful of series that aren't that case. Like to your point, owning certain series that were aired and then just never licensed to streaming services like Planets. I think Fullmetal Alchemist, the original one, is not on a streaming service right now
Yep.
either.
Can't find that.
Um, yeah, so like there are
Legally speaking, of course, you can always do the seven
right,
Cs, but we're
right,
not we're not encouraging that.
yeah, we're not a part of the Straw Hat crew.
No.
But those are like few and far between too, right? And the same thing with manga. Like it's nearly impossible to find volumes of Kill la Kill.
I'm
And
still
if
trying
you,
to find the hardcovers.
yeah, they're very very expensive if you do find them online. Like there are examples of this that are around, but thankfully, with the addition of having these libraries from large publishers be on apps, I mean, we have sort of like a safety net, knowing like if there is ever a shortage or if there is a delay in releases for whatever reason, or if something just happens and a mangaka just stops and they're like, nope, I want everything pulled. It's hard because you have physical and you have digital. So it's like at
Yep.
least you have this sort of guarantee that you're always going to have the ability to read the series that you like and to some degree watch. Again, there are some obvious outliers to that too, um but going into the manga market though, because I do think that you and I, even though what I said earlier about the fact that we're more in tuned with what's coming out and stuff because this is what we do for a podcast and everything, and this is also what we do for our own hobbies and interests. um I do still think that more and more people will be purchasing physical than just strictly reading it digitally. And there are speculations that this is going to be the case moving forward too. Article from DW states that according to statistics released in March by the All Japan Magazine and Book Publishers and Editors Association, that's a mouthful of an association.
That
Hopefully,
it
that
is.
abbreviation is easy to say. At first glance, it's not. Uh, the total sales of print, electronic, and magazines increased 0.2% in 2022, which is worth around 677 billion yen. Not a large percentage increase, but I mean, in the grand scheme, quite significant.
That's a
Um,
lot of cheddar.
yes, yeah. Sales of print manga have remained relatively flat, which is a contradiction from sales reported in 1995. While more traditional print formats has shrunk, however, manga delivered as e-comics on smartphones has actually increased the sale by 8.9% in 2022. So they also showed that there was a dramatic 171% increase in U.S. sales. And again, I think this was just due to the pandemic. People were stuck inside. People were kind of going back to their old hobbies and interests, or again, discovering the wonderful world that is anime and manga for the first time. So they said that they showed that a year-on-year manga sales in the U.S. were up by 171% for 2020 and 2021. So right in peak times.
Real
But
real quick side tangent.
yeah,
I find it hilarious that the number one comic book sold every year is the guy who'd made Captain Underpants. It's the cat cop and like the whatever dog books that they have.
yeah, yeah.
He
That's
is consistently the number one comic book seller in the United States every year. It
yeah,
is
because
hilarious.
it's
It's
perfect for
children's.
kids.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
perfect
perfect
for
for
kids.
kids.
It's just it makes me laugh and giggle to myself every time. I'm like, this is so silly, but it's understandable.
But like in it like to that point too, like what other comic book style artists out there are domestically that people read a lot? Like I guess would Diary of a Wimpy Kid be considered in that genre?
I don't know. I've never read Diary
I
as a Wimpy Kid. Is
neither
it
have
like
I.
a
I
is
thought it
it
was more novel, but I didn't think it was like with like just some small doodles, but I could be wrong.
yeah,
Um
that's what
but it
I thought
is
as well.
but it is funny. It is also nice to see we were when we were doing like weekly news stuff, which was incredibly tough to upkeep. We would occasionally get the ones showing like here's the top sales of manga for the month, and it was always like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero and Chainsaw Man. But then we do across like all of the sales of like comics, and like those 4 or 5 would always be in the top 10 too. So it's like, yeah, Captain Underpants, your reign of terror in this nation is almost at an end. um, just to finish up the article too, because they're talking about the ambitious sales targets for moving forward. The aim of the Japan and its manga markets is to, and this is according to the article, quadruple sales of Japanese content in overseas market from approximately 5 trillion yen at present within 10 years. So over the next 10 years, they want to quadruple their sales overseas. And obviously, the primary market would be US. And I think secondary, actually, well, probably US first and then France. France is, I think, actually leads in front of the US in terms of manga sales. Um,
Interesting. I would have
yeah.
thought Germany, but
Nope. I think it's France. They have a very, very, very large manga distribution, I think, in France. And
good to
you
know.
Yeah, I was shocked when I read that too. Originally, I was like, France, really? What the hell? Those uptight, snotty bastards.
Ha ha.
Exactly. So, yeah, I am with the Vismod media price increases. I'm still optimistic that sales will continue to rise too. And again, this is starting January 1st, 2024. So, for all of you listening, any of you who are wanting to get into a new series or continue, a little bit behind, maybe want to pick up, a couple volumes that you're behind on, do it before the new year. Recommendation, and this is not a plug, they're not a sponsor or anything. We just like using the site. Right Stuff Anime always has pretty good deals on their manga. You'll always find some sort of discount, usually on their series. Myself, I will for sure be pre-ordering the Stone Ocean series that are going to be coming out soon. By soon, I mean the end of this year into next year. Currently, $20 on Right Stuff Anime, and I expect them to probably increase from their $24.99 price tag to probably $29.99. I think with the price increase. So, if you're looking to get new series, I would go and get them sooner rather than later.
Yep, and also not a plug, but another good thing about Right Stuff, $50 free shipping. And
There you go.
their shipping, I would say the only thing is make sure everything's in stock, because if you order anything that's pre-ordered or out of stock, they will not ship it until it's all completely in stock. So,
Yep.
buyer beware.
Yep. Yeah. The one final question that I'll ask, and then we can wrap this up too, is with the price increase of physical manga from Viz, do you think they're gonna hike up their app again? Or for the first time,
No,
I should say? Because Shonen Jump's already done it. Shonen Jump increased theirs.
well, Shonen Jump is Viz, so I
Right, but
don't.
the Viz Media app, because they're two different
Right.
applications.
When did the Shonen Jump app come out? Like, when did it
Uh
start?
I want to say it was 2019.
Because if it was 2019, it took them 4 years in order to just do a
But that
dollar price
but that
increase.
was 2019. It probably came out 2019 in Japan. Let me look on the App Store here and see when it actually came out.
So
Uno
theoretically,
momento.
yeah, it's only three. Sorry, it was not $4 a month. It's $3 a month because it used to be two. Um, as for Viz manga, I don't know if they'll increase it immediately because of a couple reasons. One, it is their like more adult titles, but it's also not all of their like it doesn't have as many titles as Shonen Jump may have. Also another thing to note, not all of their series have every single chapter. You have Komi on there, you have Call of the Night, you have Freerun. They have a lot of series on Viz Manga's app or the Viz Manga app that are missing a shit ton of middle chapters because they have prior, contracts that these will be released physically first. So
Hmm.
whenever they're released physically is when they come out, like those middle chapters come out. All the new chapters are there. So if you've somehow read those middle chapters, great. That's a good deal for you. $2 and you get more series. But I think the reason why they won't up the price for Viz in a little while at least, I'd give it at least a year and a half from today because it's been about a half a year, maybe a little less. Um, is because they want those people to stay there and they want to like they don't have necessarily all the chapters available. So once all those chapters are available, I could see them raising it from $1.99 to $2.99.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm interested to see the immediate statistics of the price increase within the first year of them doing it on their manga sales to see if there's a significant jump, right? Because in theory, if sales remain the same and you increase the price on it, you're going to see an increase in revenue. But
Yeah.
if they see a significant drop, but an increase in their subscribers on the app because people are like, well, I'd rather just go pay the extra $2 on an app than buy the physical volumes now. Maybe you just increase the app then too.
And if you don't like the subscription, you can always buy them digitally on the app, which they're
Yep.
usually cheaper than they are physically. They're I think $7.99 compared to or no, sorry, they're usually $5.99 compared to the $7.99 physically. So
Right.
you
So
could always buy your volumes digitally there too. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they increase the digital price for a volume when the price increase goes through for physical.
yeah. And I did confirm Shonen Jump app has been serving popular simul published manga series since 2018. So,
Okay.
um
So yeah, it's
been a
been
while.
5 years before they increase the price. I think
Yeah.
they'll wait a little bit.
But again, it's a question of, is it market pressure? Is it just sheer numbers that indicate, hey, we can increase it and we're not going to see a dip? Like the it's always a interesting it's always interesting looking at the reasoning and the reasoning behind it, the reaction to it, and the results from it
Yeah.
when when price increases come through, especially for
Yeah.
something like a subscription or something that has been a set stone price for so long, like
I think
Viz Media manga.
Yeah, and I think like you mentioned market pressure. I really don't think they have a lot of market pressure right now to
No.
increase,
Mm-mm.
let alone, I think they don't have a lot of market pressure to convince them not to increase. Like they can increase like all they want because K manga shit the fucking bed with their app. If
Yeah.
Square Enix comes out with an app or Seven Seas comes out with an app saying, "Hey, here's all our stuff that we're providing and it's three or like $4 or $3, then Viz might be like, well, you can come to us for cheaper or something. Like it depends on if other people come to the table digitally and say, hey, we're offering this for more expensive or less than what our competitors are doing,
Yeah.
and we have quality titles as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once the market, or I shouldn't even say once, if the market were to expand digitally with those
Yeah.
other publishers, what those pressures would result in. A lot of unknowns still. It'll be interesting to see later on into 2024 what happens, backlash. And if you have any opinions or want to share your thoughts on the price increases or experiences with the apps, feel free to reach out to us. You can always find us on our Twitter at Baka&Co Podcast. You can go there to our link tree, join our Discord, find our other socials at YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We're always trying to post as much as we can on those platforms as well with goofy videos or to just incite, violence like Frank did today with his opinions on his favorite and least favorite anime from 2022, which started
Yeah.
quite the commotion. Um,
Fuck Tomodachi game.
yeah, exactly. Well, until next time, we will see you then. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.